We're live, so these microphones are on. All right, we're live. The microphones are on.
Presented or amended?
Mayor, if we could add one quick thing to the consent agenda, and that's the fire department minutes. They came in after I published the agenda, so I just wanted to add that as you approve that.
So moved. Second. Motion a second to approve the agenda as amended. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Doug?
Yep.
Michelle? Yes. Roger?
Yes.
Megan? Yes. Sarah? Yes. All right, on to the consent agenda. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda? Second. Okay, motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Can I ask for some details on the shade structure? Like, is there something specifically they're thinking? Or?
Yeah, they don't have she emailed me an email, and it's got some pictures, very high quality shade structures. There's not a particular one chosen. This is just asking for approval to go after grant money.
Yep.
And then if any grant money is approved, then they would choose.
Yep.
That would obviously be a city council decision.
Yep.
So whatever is proposed, you would still get another bite at that apple.
Yep.
So today they're just seeking permission to go after some money.
Okay.
But if you want, I can email everybody kind of what they're looking at. If you
Okay. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Michelle? Yes. Roger?
Yes.
Megan? Yes. Sarah? Yes. Doug?
Yes.
All right, on to updates and presentations with City Administrator.
Super, thank you. Just a couple of quick things that are not necessarily in the rest of the agenda. The pool committee, we have a survey that just went live today, so tell your friends and everybody in town to go on the Facebook page, click the link, answer questions about the pool. This is a pool committee feedback form that's going to help them to determine what official recommendations they make to the city council when it comes to spending priorities at the pool. So it's a pretty extensive survey, so it takes about 2 or 3 minutes to fill out, so if everybody could do that, I'd appreciate it. Next, we have, you'll see on 9A, we received an insurance dividend. We usually get this check. I think last year it was just under $10,000. This year it's really good. It's $19,414.53. So just wanted to point that out, and that's from our membership with the Iowa Association of Municipal Utilities. So really happy about that. And then the third is we just got confirmation today that Dairyland Power, which is one of the companies that we buy electricity from, has just instituted a scholarship program for youth. And we've been approved for a $1,000 annual scholarship, and so the city will have to decide how we want to apply that $1,000 scholarship. So I'll have some ideas. I just got confirmation today, so I'll have ideas in the next meeting to propose to you, and I'll talk to maybe some school administrators and see if we can come up with some cool plans for that.
Cool.
And then next, item 10, we have Chris Trendle here from the Regional Housing planner for the Upper Explorerland Regional Planning Commission to do a brief, and I've stressed brief presentation on what they do and how Strawberry Point could be involved with some of their programming. So if you want to come to the podium. Yeah.
All right, sure can.
And then I'm just going to ask you to speak loudly, because this is the microphone that's going to pick up what you're saying.
I speak pretty loud anyway.
Okay, good.
So yes, my name is Chris Trundle. I'm with Upper Explorerland. That's for you to keep the handout. There's applications and a few other things there. So just to clarify, you guys have had this funding since 2010, and actually other funding sources since then that we've administered for the city themselves. Specifically towards housing, which that's what I do. You've had just since 2010, $91,000 worth of, mostly it's been rehab, just from the trust fund alone. With the other programs that go all together, housing loans since 2010, you're just shy of $700,000. Now, my job here tonight is to teach you a little bit about the trust fund. Anybody not familiar with the trust fund? I'm assuming probably not so much. Anybody know anything about it? So the trust fund is for people who not necessarily are on poor or anything like that. About 75% of everybody living in Northeast Iowa qualifies for it, so it goes off your income. So it is LMI based, but it depends on house size and so on and so forth. About 80% of everybody that receives funding through this usually are going to be elderly or disabled, and they're on fixed income, Social Security, so on and so forth. Right now, our funding source per candidate is up to $15,000 for a project in a year. So just like everywhere else, we've got homes that need work on. There's residents that don't have the finances to do so. So I back pretty much up all the other agencies that can't do it. So that's pretty much what I do. So with that being said, the Housing Trust Fund, we have it as it's a grant, but it's also a loan. So the grant is for forgivable rates, so anybody under that 31,000 benchmark, which most of your elderly and disabled would be a forgivable loan for 5 years, and then there's payoffs past that, so up to like 2%, so everything's low interest. It's created a revolving loan fund, which has me go after these other dollars that are in here. So if you look at this in more detail later on, I'm trying to be brief, you would see the amounts of work that has been done in Northeast Iowa, and just last year alone, I probably put in close to, it's getting pretty close to about $4 million. Now, you guys haven't used a lot of funds down here, and the reason for that being is because you don't know about it, or you don't remember it, or however that works. You're your own best advocate for these programs. By not using it, you are really not doing good for your residents, because this is money that absolutely can be done with regards to housing. I guess the last thing to talk about, and probably the most important, is the reason I'm here is so you guys know about the program, and it's way too brief to really go over it, but the amount of effect that it has on a community is tremendous. So like, even though you may not think that you have anybody using it, I have one program right now that is being implemented here in town for down payment assistance program. So, it does not only rehab, but we also do down payment assistance. And, so I do have a program currently active going, and that's $32,000 per act for that one. So, and I have all kinds of other programs. So this does, critical need, stuff where rehab and, down payment assistance. So one of the biggest things is to get you guys back on track with, using this, resource and all the others that I do. But in doing so, I am also trying to get all of our cities back into, some type of, match funding for these programs, because they don't come free, they come at a price. So usually, on average, it's about 25% that we have to come up with regionally. So I'm not asking for tens of thousands of dollars, that's not what I'm asking for. But my board does say, we want matching money coming from all of our cities so we can justify going in. And there's not a city that I have that's not, at 2,000% or higher return on investment. So already, you guys don't, give currently, but, $32,000 to do that return on investment right there alone, and you have a brand new person in town that hasn't,
Yep.
So it's a win-win.
What's a typical municipality our size contribute?
Well, you guys aren't one of the smallest, like Waterville or anywhere else. I threw out a number. I would say a fair amount would be somewhere between 1,000 to 2,500, somewhere in there. As long as you give something, I don't care. I will do my utmost to make sure that you have resources here. But again, I am only one person. You're your best advocate. So with that being said, for the city specifically too, cities and counties have an opportunity for demolition funding. So if you have a house that needs to be tore down, you talk to your economic developer, and these funds that come back from the trust fund, on a yearly basis, you can get up to 2 houses taken down within that county.
Sure.
So you can have one, here, and that's $10,000 already. So every town has a match-ready house, guaranteed.
Yep.
Is that municipal driven, or can private homeowners?
That'll be municipal
Okay,
driven.
so that's
Yeah.
municipal driven.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But however, each economic developer looks at it, I would strongly suggest talk to them first, yep.
Sure.
So as you can hear, there's lots of different pieces with it. I have so the trust fund, down payment, and rehab. I have a federal home loan bank project right now for elderly, disabled, and veterans. I have a down payment assistance program along with that, and that's that bigger one for $32,000, and then a variety of other things I'm doing. And then also, just know that I dibble and dabble in a lot of different things. So being that you're on Dairyland Power, I will be doing a fair amount of work in the area. I know Darla's been down here, so on and so forth, because she's got funding. So I match up some of that stuff with her, but Dairyland will also have some potential for developers to work with me and Darla, and so on and so forth. So just know that opportunities are really there to capitalize on my use. So, yeah.
How's the best way for us to educate our constituents on the programs that you have available?
Well, I would say, what I tell cities and counties to do is when you have your people out and about working, everybody knows everybody in these towns. I mean, it's just the way it is. The little old lady or the little old man that lives down the street that's on Social Security needs a roof, or, the plumber goes there and there's a backup main or something, and that would be the best way to say, hey, here's an option, potentially. I can't promise. I mean, I always have, the list goes on and on. But that would be the best way, and then they could reach out to me, or ideally, a neighbor or a family member, or maybe even you guys could help them out, fill out an application. It's not rocket science. You have most of the applications there, take a look at and review for your own knowledge. So, but yeah, this is pretty broad. It does a lot of stuff, and
Do you have also like social media assets that you can give us that we could share?
Well, our website. So you can go to our website and find all of that same stuff that I just gave you in there, and much more. So all of your housing plans that are for the county that you guys use for writing grants and stuff, that comes from us, which comes from this revolving loan fund money. So by not giving, you're really, not doing yourself a service, knowing that you're receiving, benefits from it. So just, keep that in mind, but please, these programs are hugely beneficial to, especially the elderly and disabled.
Sure.
Are 100% applications approved?
I can't say that because I have a list that I go off of. I mean, I get 10, 15 calls daily. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. And when I'm not getting calls from individuals, it's community action or area, agency for aging, or, the VA calling me, by doing what I'm doing here, I don't have to be out pushing this money to come back in, but I'm trying to stretch these dollars out. And the way I'm framing this now, we have the trust fund dollars, but we also have an additional slush fund because I am fundraising to a point that I'm able to get these emergency funds more when community action runs out or not. So if we can keep doing this on a yearly basis, and like I said, if everybody gave $1,000 or $2,000, I would probably be good for 60 to 70% of the people that apply, to some extent, of course. So, yeah, especially the emergency ones.
Sure.
So, make sense?
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And you have my business card there. You can reach out to me anytime if you got more questions. I don't know where you are with budget season. I heard you got budget.
Oh, we're in it.
Just know, if I could find out by, and I do have an option in there for, 3 years at a time.
Sure.
So I gave that as an option, and a lot of counties and cities are doing it. So,
Sure.
it helps me plan, and it helps
Yep.
you plan.
Yep.
Like I said, again, you're your best advocate. I'm here, and I'm in Owine all the time. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm not too far. Yeah, you take it from the T, it's about as equal distance.
Yeah.
So,
And thanks for being flexible. Our last meeting got canceled right at the last minute.
I hate snow.
We're staying tuned right on the ice.
And cold. I don't mind back in Iowa, but yeah. Other than family meetings. I do want to say, I traveled all over the state. I worked all over the state, but, going back, I'm from Lansing. So going back, we always have to come back through Strawberry Point. I love going through here in the summertime. You guys do a very nice job with all your work. So
Thank you.
I'm hoping that, Lansing, when we do our streetscape, we'll take a little bit of what you guys have. I've referenced you quite a bit.
Oh, good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much. You're welcome. All right, we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Oh.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, there was just one other 9B. I just wanted to talk about Iowa DNR matching grant. That corresponds to the resolution, 2605. So that's going to be a resolution where we have to front the purchase it, and then the grant that we've already been approved for will fund up to half of that. So just wanted to let you know that before you have the discussion on the equipment.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else? Okay. Move on to new business, number 11, resolution 2603, the resolution approving renewal of senior sanitation agreement.
That's up.
So you need a motion and a second?
Yep, we got a motion.
Oh, you got it already? Okay,
Motion
very
and a
good.
second.
All right.
Does all the council members have the proposed
Yes.
Yeah.
prices for the next 5-year contract?
They have a proposal and a short summary report.
Okay.
Yes.
So, we took over by county 2 years ago. As you know, we acquired you guys through them. I feel like it's been going great. We've worked well with Wright County before we merged, and then even after. The town fits perfect with all of our other routes. We've changed a lot of our routes around last June. So now all of our routes we have are maximized, and we just want to do our best to keep everybody where they're at, because we got a good thing going, and we want to keep it going. We're not getting out of the craft business anytime soon. We got a good thing going. I feel like we provide a good service to the counties and communities we service, and we want to keep going. We're asking for a 3% raise every year, starting off with just pretty minimal. Negotiated that be flexible with
The inflation.
The inflation rate. If the inflation rate is less than 3% for a statewide average, then the inflation rate for garbage matches that, which I think is fair. We got the citywide cleanup in here. The first proposal says up to 1 per year, but if you guys want 2, That's always an option. We just did a fall one last year, and we'll, you know, hopefully that goes good. Hopefully it helps with spring cleanup.
Yes.
coming up. Spring.
Yes.
I know personally I've had some residents ask me if they could do a fall one, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the second one that we added last year was really successful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got any questions, comments, concerns
I do.
for us? Yes.
So there are hours of operations in here.
Yup.
How do we make sure that it's here to the 7 a.m.? Here's my reason why. People will bring their trash out in the morning.
Yep.
I personally, in this last year, have gone to take my trash out and it's being picked up at 5:45 in the morning.
Okay. That is an issue we gotta address with our drivers.
Which we will address.
Yeah.
So let me add something too. That was a big point of discussion and negotiation with us. It's actually in the contract that there are remedies now if they're picking up before 7, that we can hold them accountable, and financially if it is a trend. So, that.
But we have to know about it, like, people have to let us know,
Yeah.
the city does.
And we have that feedback mechanism now on the website where
Yeah.
people can put in a complaint,
Okay.
and then it gets sent to them automatically, and it gets databased in our internal system that we built. And so, yeah, that was probably 50% of all the negotiating time that we had in this contract,
Yes, it was.
the 7 a.m.
But then, I mean, what do you do when the second week of July, when it's hot and you have a thing of garbage that
Doesn't get out.
doesn't get out?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because it's,
What do you mean it doesn't get, like?
Like it doesn't get
it
picked up.
doesn't get picked up and then it sits for another.
It doesn't sit another week. We also have it in the contract that if they miss something, they have to come the next day to pick it up.
Okay.
So that's also a point that we negotiated about, around the 7 a.m. thing, so.
Due to how our issue, if we got tablets that kind of keep good track on things, and we're very good at coming back from mid trash. Like if someone calls our office and says they forgot to set it out, we'll come back. But there are people in every town that forget to set it out, and then play the victim card that
Yeah.
we missed,
Yeah.
But it doesn't take long to catch on to who those people are.
As long as people are being honest with us. we
Yeah.
have no problem coming.
And you have good people.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
really do
Yeah.
have good people.
I mean,
Our drivers are kind of the heart and soul of the company. Like,
yeah,
of the towns that we have our best drivers in, we get the most confidence, and then
Yep.
the drivers that we have some issues with, it follows through. I have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Council
Yep.
meeting.
that was my biggest thing, was that, there was.
There are some early
Yeah.
mornings,
It's like, hey,
Yeah, if we got-
6 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
I live right in the middle of town, and they're coming up the street.
Yeah.
and
They're not supposed to be in town.
Yeah, yeah.
if we gotta be up here for those,
Ours,
once we talk to the drivers, and we get up here at 7 a.m. in our pickup, either one of us, we will make sure we get that addressed.
Yeah.
we might send them to a different town first, because
Yeah.
we like, our routes are pretty big, we like to optimize the routes, and we like to
Sure.
get started at 6.
We
Yep,
can
yep.
revamp things.
But we revamp things. I know drivers around Pike County stress, Strawberry Point is almost all highways. They're very, very busy. They like to get up and down the highway early in the morning.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we can structure a route to not be in town.
Only
by
just,
7.
just for our residents, because they know I have until 7 to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and we encourage everybody, all of our customers to call our office if there's any issues, complaints issues. That's the only way to solve the problem, is to notify somebody of it.
Yep.
If someone's not happy with the time you come into town and no one says anything about it,
Yep.
it never gets addressed.
Yep.
So, any, problems, any damage to cans, I go through town and I see people with a cracked lid or a broken wheel on their can, and we don't know about it. If anyone has any issues, all they have to do is call our office and we can take care of those.
Yep.
No, you guys have been great.
Yeah.
And we needed extra ones for businesses. When we switched to you guys are prompt on getting them out. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I guess if you guys are good with that, we have a contract for Mayor Evans to sign.
Yep.
And, for that renewal.
Any other questions? Dino, do you have any other recommendations, or?
No, I'm in favor of this. They've done a great job of being responsive. The rates that they've given us and locked in at 3% are very good, in our favor. She won't be signing that tonight. We'll do a resolution tonight, and
Okay.
then I'll sign it and email it back to you guys.
Okay, but you'll be able to take this copy tonight then, or?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
It's in their
This
packet,
one?
yeah. I think so, it's not.
Or is it the one that Adam has,
Well, it's just, the one that we're voting on is the one that.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Same one that you.
Yeah, the
so I'll
same
keep
number
that.
that-
The same one, that's just the whole
Yeah.
contract of.
No, I have a process. Once we do it, I have to read the contract again, make sure there's no changes
Okay,
in it.
yep, that's fine,
Yeah.
I didn't know, cause
Yep.
sometimes we have the mayor just sign.
That's
it.
very convenient, yeah.
Everyone the old school,
The old fashioned way, and then half the contract is different, you know, it's like, no, I'm just, it's a process that we have to go through.
That's fine, yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll take care of that.
Yep.
And then, if this gets approved tonight, there will be, in the next meeting, a subsequent ordinance for, having our garbage rates automatically increase according to this contract each year, so we don't have to vote on it every year. Yeah. Anything else? No?
One more thing, I don't wanna forget about is, offering a free cardboard dumpster to all the residents.
Yeah.
We offer this to our town. A lot of towns like this service, because cardboard takes up most of the recycling. We could put a cardboard dumpster somewhere centralized in town that the council wants, that's somewhat under surveillance.
Yeah.
And then dump it once a week to just help anyone that's in the city of Strawberry to get big bulky cardboard
Sure.
instead of hanging on to it for 10 days.
We thought in front of Chuck's house would be good. No, but yeah, that's, so we'd have to think about where we wanna put that, if we want it, they're offering it for free, you know, so.
Cool.
it's pretty
That's
cool.
great.
I think
You're right.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you look at cardboard.
And
Yep, or, yeah.
if it does get abused and people throw TVs and tires and that, we'll just take it back. We won't
Yeah.
charge you for anything,
Yeah.
like, we'll try it, you know, we've
But-
had great success with it in all of our other towns, but if people can't respect it, then we'll just pull it and
Yeah.
no one's out anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, sometimes people from rural parts will bring things into town that don't know the rules, and
Right.
Yeah.
and that happened to my dumpster when I had one out there.
Oh, gotcha. All right, thanks, guys.
That sounds great, thank you.
Does this current one have the two pickups, like the fall and spring in
Yeah,
it?
the fall is an optional one, so
Okay.
that's based on a tonnage,
Yep.
payment, so,
Okay.
yeah, we can do it. We're moving forward, assuming that we're gonna do two a
Okay.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have the option for it if you think it's beneficial or not.
Sure. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll go to vote. Roger?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good night.
We look forward to working with you guys,
Yeah,
providing great service.
great, thank you. Thank you very much.
Great job already. You guys do a heck of a service.
Keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, that's right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thanks.
All right, we'll move on to number 12, Resolution 2604, approving TextMyGov text communication tool.
Need a motion?
Second. All right, motion and second to discuss?
Great. This is we started looking for other ways to communicate, you know, when we have water outages and electric outages that are like locked down to specific parts of town. We have no way of communicating that other than Facebook, which not everybody is on. So this TextMyGov text service is really cool because people register their number according to their address, and then we can either send out citywide texts, or we could send out texts that are specific right to the houses of an affected area, which is really beneficial. You know, that way if there's a boil order, but it only affects 2 blocks, we don't want to alarm everybody else in the city, you know, who might have an issue. So,
If there's a flood on Cherry Street.
if there's a flood on Cherry Street, you could, you know, definitely be communicated to. So we like it. It's very inexpensive. It's going to be, you know, about $2,500 a year. There is a one-time setup fee of like $1,250, and it's a pretty extensive setup. We'll have to put, you know, widget on our website. You know, we want to educate the public that they're not going to get spammed through this. Like, it's just going to be official city stuff and no advertising. You know, just alerts and
But it's
emergencies.
only good if people sign up for it.
Well, yes and no. So the way that the government has access to the cell phone numbers.
Mhm.
They already have a database of pretty much all the cell phone numbers in town. So we could do a forced, text with or without permission. We think it's better to get people to opt in, and I think that we would get most people to opt in. But if we wanted to go the route of using the cell phone numbers that are already in their database of cell phones around here, we could legally do that. I prefer not to, because I don't like getting texts, from people that I don't know. But also when it's my government, maybe I'm not so worried about it if it's an emergency or something important.
So with that initial text, if we did that force, would that be like giving them an option to opt in, or is that
We
automatic?
could.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do an initial text to everybody that they have in a database. We'll do it, we'll have a sign up, here, if they want to come in, we'll help people sign people up, we'll have it in the newspaper, we'll have it on Facebook. I think if we can get,
I mean, are we gonna contact people to see how many people are actually interested? I mean, how many households do we have? How many households do we have in this town?
there's about 700 households.
So we're talking,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we
Four-
need to have
four or five bucks
four or
per house.
500, signed up to make it
right,
really,
worth
really
it, yeah.
powerful.
So I mean, do we have enough, are there enough people interested that want to do this?
We don't know. This is mostly if we want to do this, then we would try to get people to sign up. I think if we ask them, would you like to get texts from us? We would either, get some mixed messaging and also a lot of people not responding. So I think that if you wanted to add a survey to get public opinion first, we could certainly do that. We could modify the motion tonight or table it and get more information. This is the sort of thing where, I don't really have a strong opinion on it, other than I think it's a good tool that we should use and try to get people to sign up rather than give them the option that we have, if we have it or not. But again, I don't feel super strongly one way or another, so whatever you guys decide.
I mean, a lot
Would
of
it-
places
I'm
use
sorry.
it. Schools use texting alerts. I mean, it's kind of become
A normal thing.
a normal
Yeah.
thing. Your doctor's office texts you reminders.
Yeah, but how often do you think you'd be using it?
Right.
Well,
Once a
I
month or
mean, we've
several
had,
times a
in the
month?
last year, we've had several water issues, water main break.
Mm-hmm.
We've had flooding, we've, had other things. So I think we'd probably use this 10 to 12 times a year.
So I mean, like once a month, that's,
Yeah,
But you're not just texting one person either. You can text
Whoever signs up.
300 people. Or
yeah. But we could also find ways to use it as well. I'm just thinking of emergency services, but if we have roads that are closed because of Strawberry Days, we could make announcements through there, that could help people. We could find other uses for it that isn't just emergency use. It was the emergency use that was the catalyst for the discussion.
but then do people want to be contacted in that?
I mean, they can opt out, so it's not like they would have to continue to get messages if they didn't want them. They could, it's got one of those things where they could reply stop and they would be taken off the list. So people would have the opt-in or opt-out option.
I mean, it says on here that utilities are events, elections, road work. It's got a lot of.
I would imagine this would be real similar to what we have in school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We get a text for cancellations, early outs, weather,
Yeah.
but also there are texts that we get for change of event times or that type of thing. Would this be the same thing?
Yep.
I mean, we can put
Exactly.
you can put event time on it. You can put a start time for
Yeah.
Strawberry Point Days Parade. It's going to start at noon instead of 1 o'clock.
I remember getting them for if
You
there was a
know.
bus route issue or.
Yeah, or snow day, if there's a snow emergency and people are gonna get ticketed for being parked on the streets, we could have that alert go out.
Who will be responsible
Me. So send the alerts?
Yeah.
Yeah, just me,
this year?
yeah.
And here's the other thing, is there, would this be just anybody who wants to sign up? I mean, we've got 1 million kids out of school that are on sometimes they know before I do that we're getting out of school.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
would this be similar, a kid that's 12, that's got a cell phone, could they sign up and get text like Gov, so they
Yes.
have access to all the information?
They can, yeah,
Okay.
any cell phone number.
Okay.
Obviously, we suggest parental permission, but there's no way to know the age of a cell phone.
Is there a texting back option?
A what?
They can't text you back.
No, there would be automated text that would tell them stop, I don't want to get these anymore, but it's not a two-way
Back and
communication.
forth, yeah.
No, this is a broadcast tool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we do not want to be getting texts from
Yeah.
cell phone numbers.
Well,
Yeah.
I know
It could be dinging off the wall.
some of those water main things, I know like people will ask questions on Facebook, and I know you guys don't always have the time to like just be monitoring Facebook and answering questions back and forth, so like,
Yeah,
This would be a good to save.
yeah.
I mean,
Update.
especially if you can target the area of town that it affects, and that way not everybody's getting it. And
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, it's a powerful tool, and, like, I'm totally okay getting, community feedback if that's what you guys decide. I like it as a communication tool, and it's very inexpensive, and, I definitely think that we should consider adding it to our portfolio.
I think it would be a good thing.
I wonder if we really need it though. I mean, you can almost stick your head out the door here at City Hall and yell enough we don't hear you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but, if people aren't home and the electric goes out, or if there's an emergency and they're at work, they might want to call a neighbor. It is a communication tool, and we do get feedback frequently that people aren't on Facebook. And if they're not on Facebook, like that is our...
We did spend quite a bit of money on our website, though. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you have the power to accept a text message, you should have the same ability to check the website.
Not me.
Not necessarily, you can have a flip phone that gets a text message if it doesn't have.
But I mean,
That and,
Percentage.
the thing is, it's like and I agree with you, checking the website is very important, but this is like a broadcast, like if they don't know to check the website,
I just deal with text messages on a daily basis, and
Yeah.
I know how people
yeah.
don't check them. Like,
Yeah.
You can get them, but you have to move on.
Are you saying you don't check your text
No,
messages?
I'm not saying, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
Maybe we just do a survey, like a yes or no. Yes, you want it, no, you don't. Like, two.
like I said, I don't have a strong opinion one way or another. If the council wants to get public opinion on it, I'm happy to put a survey out. So, yeah, it's,
personally, I think it's a great tool.
okay.
And I would jump right on. I think, one of the things that we've got to do as a council is improve our transparency and our communication to our community. Here's a great way to do it. It doesn't cost our citizens anything. And as many people as on their cell phone, if I'm in Arizona on vacation and I get a text message, Cherry Street's flooding, I know I've got to call somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, it would have been nice to have that last July.
I agree.
Okay,
At
but I
work,
didn't have access to it.
power's gone out to half the town, it would be, if my phone went off, I'm gonna look, oh, what is this text alert? Power's out to half the town.
but what can I do about it?
At least I know to
Call a
say.
neighbor. If you're away and you've just got a half a beef in your freezer, and you know you can call somebody to
You can call me to get the half. You can call me to get the half a beef and
Have a grill out.
Yeah, I'll return half.
It just causes more drama than it does good.
No, I hear you. I think it has to be used well. It's not gonna be a prolific tool, but it's a surgical tool, right? Like, it's something that can deliver news to the people that need it. I don't see us sending out a text every week, but if it's there, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good tool. But again, I'm not opposed to getting community feedback either.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So we currently have a motion on the floor to just approve as is.
We just had a motion to discuss.
Well, no, it's.
The motion to approve
It's a motion to approve, it. You
Okay.
can modify
Okay.
it, yeah.
We always do this backwards, I feel.
No, we need, there's a resolution, and then you have to motion and second just to discuss the resolution that's on the table, and then you can always modify it, so we're good, yeah. So basically, the options are approve, not approve, or modify with public feedback, yeah, or anything else that you guys decide.
Okay, so we will go to vote with the current resolution on the table, 2604. Megan?
No.
Sarah?
Yes.
Doug?
No.
Michelle?
No.
Roger?
Yes.
All right, so the follow-up to that is, has that now essentially killed it, or is there interest in getting public feedback?
I can make a motion now that we get public feedback to see how the council feels. I'd like to see how our community feels.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and second to get community feedback about the TextMyGov text communication tool. Any other questions, comments? If not, we'll go to vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Meg?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Okay, I'll get that going and deploy it this week.
Great, thank you.
Super, thank you.
All right, number 13, motion to approve use of the fire station for the Pancake Breakfast on March 8th, 2026.
Make a motion.
I'll second. All right, motion and second. Any questions? If not, we'll go to vote. Doug?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Number 14, motion to approve the nomination of Micah Brazzi to the fire department.
I'll make a motion to discuss.
I'll second.
Motion and second.
Great, so the application is in your packet, and the fire chief is here, if you have any questions about the nominee.
Did Micah graduate already? I thought he was.
He's going to, the alternative school in Milford.
Okay. So he doesn't like go, he like kind
He
of.
just got his appointment, or his apartment approved for being, going to EMT school in Augusta,
Okay.
so.
I was just thinking he was still like, doing, so does he like go kind of online or something, or does a different type of schedule, like not the set normal?
Yeah, he just goes when he needs to.
Gotcha.
Wait, you said something about an apartment, Yash, is that what you said?
Yeah, he will be home on the weekends, but
Okay.
he's gonna go to school, and then when he's done, he's planning on coming back to Strawberry, so.
And then,
Right now, we would just fit in with used gear until he was done with his schooling, and back settled in, and then we would look at purchasing some stuff that properly
Yep.
fits in.
Okay.
It's kind of just like it's like can't think of the words I want to use. But yeah, it's like probation, but I mean, anyways, but like, so anyways, yeah, he's just gonna be on probation for,
A year.
a full year,
Yep.
but then after that, when he's out, you get voted on for full time.
Okay, sure.
His dad was a good firefighter, EMT. I think he's learned a lot probably from that. I think he'd be a good fit.
great, and then ahead of the vote, I want to address, this is a fire department issue. One of the city council members on the fire department. We have our protocols in place. The state auditor has made a suggestion that fire department members not vote on anything related to the fire department. That is not feasible in a lot of communities in town. It was a suggestion. I usually chime in on if I think it's a conflict of interest for Megan to vote. We had a discussion about this earlier. I reiterate that unless it's a compensation increase or something that directly benefits Megan, then it's a clear conflict of interest. On other things, I don't think it's a conflict of interest. But the protocols that we adopted as a city council give the city council the ability to debate whether or not she can vote on any issue line by line on a fire department thing. So we have that sort of checks and balances in place. But just wanted to give that disclosure before she either votes or doesn't vote.
All right, any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
All right. Number 15, motion to discuss city's noon and 6 p.m. sign-in.
Make a motion.
Second.
All right, motion and second to discuss.
Super. All right. Well, in your packet, you have the results of the survey that went out. I'll do a quick overview of the responses. On the first page, you'll see that 74% of the respondents indicated that they live in the city. This is important, to know who's responding to what. 63.3% of the responses chose to keep the siren off. People within the city limits responded a little bit higher to keep it off, 64.2% compared to 63.3%. And then outside the city, people who chose that were at 60% or 60.5% to turn it off. On the third page, the people who chose to keep it on, an overwhelming majority of those people wanted to keep it as daily at noon and 6 p.m., and then smaller percentages of people said daily at noon only, daily at 6 p.m. only, weekly at noon, and then there were some other ones in there that were pretty small, and that was like once a week, on Sunday at noon, so on and so forth. On the fourth page, you see the reasons why people don't want the siren on. These are the people who responded that they wanted to keep it off. They were given an option to sort of disclose why. And you'll see here, noise annoyance, a lot of people said no impact, sleep disruption, anxiety, trauma, or trigger, so on and so forth. And then you have multiple pages of comments, which I won't summarize. You can read those on your own time. Some of them are pretty funny. Some of them are a little, slightly out of line, but there's nothing in there that was like, worse than PG. Those are the facts, and it's up to you guys to sort of give us direction on if we're going to change the status quo.
Well, since we have our fire chief here, Mr. Fire Chief Hull, I know part of the rationalization of getting this thing back going was to make sure our siren was working appropriately as a fire chief, not as a community citizen, but as a fire chief that's concerned about that whistle blowing. How do you stand on this issue? Do you think it's a 2-a-day thing every day? You think we can get by twice a week? You think we can get by once a week to make sure that siren works? How do you stand on this issue?
As a fire chief, I would like to see it tested at least twice a day. I mean, we could go down to one day, but I would just see it tested twice a day, just to, matter of fact, to make sure it works. Because we have had issues in the past, and it wouldn't go off. Dispatching pages out, it would never go off. So there was years there that it was completely down until it got fixed in 2016, I think it was. So I mean, that's why everybody, I think it was down for so many years. Then when we started back up, it was more of a nuisance on their part. But I mean, it's always been tested twice a week or twice a day. So that's kind of what I feel. If we do go to change it, I don't know what it's going to cost to go in and have the program changed. As of right now, if we leave it the way it is, all I have to do is just plug it back in and it should work.
What regular testing do you do it, like before it got fixed, or the past 2 years that it's been off? What regular testing have you been doing on it?
Well, we couldn't test it because it was broke or it was off. So then we got this timer, that was the testing. So that was, we physically don't, there's a timer in the closet basically that trips the radio to go off. And it's controlled by the internet, so we don't physically trip it every time.
Sure.
So if a guy wants to change it, it could make it to where somebody has to be in there every time, and it would be more of a pain in the butt, but. And then I was gonna look into seeing how we could trip all the sirens instead of just the fire siren.
So the fire siren is
Right here.
And the storm sirens are?
At the Lutheran Home, by Swales Creek Cast, and down by Bob Phillips.
And how often are those tested?
Usually them are only tested during the
like emergency week, or the
yeah,
storm week, whatever.
Storm, tornado watch week, or whatever it is. That's usually only the time that they were tested.
Okay.
So, I mean, that we could physically do more often too. I mean, I could look into, like I said, how to have that tripped where then other three go off also.
So, I mean, you guys get your alerts to your pagers and your phones every time you get a fire call?
Yes.
If they come through.
If you have them on, and if you have it to where it goes off.
Or if you're not outside mowing lawn, you
Right.
can hear the sirens and you go.
Like half the time, I think I'm home in the truck when I'm working on stuff. If I hear the siren go off, I know that, okay, I better get to the truck quick. Because if I'm working with my phone on me, I usually crush the screen.
I just think we also have to respect what the community's saying too, so we have to find a happy medium.
Yeah.
So the timer that's currently there, it is like set up through a computer program?
Yes, it's just set up through a program that is hooked to the internet, and it's hooked to another radio, and that goes to the radio that's in the office, and it has it's got different things it's got to go through, and then it sets it off.
Okay. So in theory, it should be easy to reprogram, like if we wanted to do it once a month or something like that.
Once a week or something.
They might charge you for reprogram.
I'm totally oblivious to that. I wouldn't even know who to contact to do it.
It shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, I'm sure, it's, yeah.
I'm sure if I coordinated, you'd be able to tell me.
Yeah.
I think that's what we were gonna have to look into, is to kind of have a medium between the twice a day, because it seems the community's not overall in favor of that.
Also, doesn't it, I'm sorry.
I just find it funny that, like, we have complaints that everybody can hear one whistle blowing, but then we also get complaints that 3 whistles blow at the same time for a storm that people can't hear.
Right.
So which is it? Like, is it a problem that one horn's blowing too much, but the 3 horns are not, like...
Yeah.
I think it's the location of them.
That's called welcome to politics.
Okay, you know what I mean?
You're gonna never make everybody happy.
So I think that's what we're gonna have to look to, is to
Yeah.
find
So
some
it's
type of
like-
happy medium.
Also,
Besides-
does it have to go off for, it goes off for what, a minute at a time?
No, it's only supposed to go off for 7 seconds.
Oh, it's way longer.
It's way longer than that, yeah.
Could that not be set up to go off during the radio pager test by county?
Like on
Because that happens
Thursday
Monday,
night?
It's only supposed to go off at 6 o'clock and then noon. And radio pager tests are at 7 o'clock.
Right, but I'm thinking at least if you did it twice a week, that's better than twice a day, every day of the week.
I'm thinking
I
like
mean,
one.
if I get home from work at 8 o'clock in the morning and I get woke up by a siren at noon, and I've only had 3 hours of sleep in the last 48 hours, and I know I'm not the only person in town, but I know that is one of the biggest complaints from the constituents, is that 2 times a day is overkill.
It is way longer than 7 seconds when it goes
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, all right, well, I mean,
So
these are
it's
things,
something to look into.
these are things we could look into and find out what the variables are.
Yeah.
What we need tonight is,
If I accidentally hit the button twice, that's why it was noisy.
that's from that scene in Airplane, I don't know if you remember with the plugging in the ring lights. Yeah, so we can look into the variables. I think tonight what we need direction on is how many times, how often, and then we can bring a resolution at the next meeting that kind of outlines what you guys all decide.
I also want to say too, that what you guys hear is if it's been set off from the dispatch, that's going to go off a lot longer than just the test alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, my personal feeling is I don't think we need to do it twice a day. Having been in business here for 30 years, it was an annoying thing at noon to have the whistle blow, right? Especially in the spring and the fall when I had the screens open in the hotel, so, yeah, I can see the need for, testing. It's very important, but I don't believe that doing it twice a day is what we need, so.
I personally think like once a week testing would be good.
Yeah, maybe Wednesday or something.
Yeah, take one day of the week to test it, and I think that we need to make sure that the timing's right on that for the season.
I don't know if I would contact the person coming.
While they're reprogramming it, so that
Yeah.
means they can let the timing on that too.
Or else just blow it when the emergency thing goes on. I think it's Wednesdays once a month, actually.
When they do like the radio testing,
Yeah.
like at that same
So
time.
then- so then- so then-
Dispatch won't do that.
Or can,
They will not set your alarm off unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
or is that like somebody designated with their, like you guys can do
And
testing
then
at
that
that
would require
point?
one of us having to go in and manually do it.
Gotcha, okay, gotcha.
So, again, let's not get into the technical details. Let's get into how often you guys want the alarm to go off and when. And then I'll work with the chief to figure out if that's possible, if there's a cost associated with it, and bring the detailed proposal back.
Awesome. Do you want a motion then?
Yeah, we don't need a motion.
Okay,
It's just a
just-
discussion, so I just need
A
feedback.
general consensus?
Yeah, a general consensus of, are we gonna do it once a week, once a month, twice a week? yeah.
I would go either twice a month or once a week. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
Well, I do once a month, but, I mean, let's just settle on once a week.
Okay.
If we can do that, I think that most of the citizens can live with the idea that they have to try to sleep through the noise if they're on a third shift or...
All right, so I got one for like once a month, once a week.
I think once a week.
Once a week.
Once a week?
Once a week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I see some nodding heads, but not all, but I'm gonna bring forward once a week. Okay, I'll work out the details with the fire chief and we'll bring it to the next meeting. Great.
All right, number 16, motion to review capital improvement plans. Motion and second.
Motion.
Sorry. Okay, motion second.
Great. So in your packets, you have, you'll see something that starts with grid view. This is the capital improvement plan that we adopted last year. It has all of the major projects, all of the major asset purchases that each department has identified for, the next several years out. And each year, like during this budget process, after we set some goals today, we may add some of these projects, or we may add some new projects to this. We may reprioritize some of the ones that are in here. And you'll see on the last column on the right, it basically says if it's completed, if we're researching, if we're starting soon. The column sort of truncated some of those, but it's pretty self-explanatory what it says. This has every project that we've talked about, every truck purchase, every street redo. This has the sewer I&I that, we'll be starting that investigation in the spring and everything else. And so I think you can review this, on your own. It's a lot of reading, it's a lot of detail in there, and if anybody has any questions about any of these projects. But the city goals, most of these projects that aren't completed will be in this next budget season. So as we establish the goals tonight, then in the next meeting when I bring forward to you the initial proposed budget, it will have some of these things prioritized based on the city goals that you guys decide on tonight. So obviously we couldn't do all these in one year, they have to get spread out. But and based on those city goals, I'll go back to the department heads and we'll decide, reprioritize based on those goals and then move forward. So, and this is a living document, so if anybody ever wants an update on this at any time, just ask. I can email it, I can add you, it's an online spreadsheet, I can add you to it as a user, to go and look at it. It's pretty nice to have all the capital projects in one place, so.
The ones that are completed, will you move those to like a different document?
I'll keep them. What I'll do is online, it's easier to look at it on a computer screen. You can see a lot more of it. So I'm happy to set this up as a view that you can look at it online. I want to keep the completed on there because it's important to know, we did that, and this is how much it cost. And then in the database, I can tie contracts to it. So when we do for example, when we start to investigate the flooding and the sewer system and all that, we want to be able to tie back how much money we spent on that over the years. And so this is a way to keep everything in one place. All the contracts get associated to it. And that way, hey, remember when we did that thing 5 years ago that nobody seems to remember? We're going to remember it, and we'll have the data. So, and again, at any time, if there are projects that the city council thinks should be on here that aren't already reflected on here, just speak up, we'll put it on an agenda, and if somebody wants it added. And I'll just reiterate that, this is a plan. This document doesn't approve the project. It approves us spending the time to research the project, to, understand what can go into it, understand the cost, and then each project would still have to come in front of the city council for a vote.
All right, any questions? If not, we'll move on to number 17, motion to discuss city goals.
So moved.
Motion and second to discuss?
Great. So we've had a goal discussion, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, and, my feeling is we're a small community. There are several variables, but there's not hundreds of them. So I'm a big fan of keeping city goals pretty simple and also using like a SMART goal process, which is something that, it's got to be very measurable. Like we don't want to have a goal of everybody should be happy. Like there's no way to measure that and there's no way to achieve it. So one of the main city goals that has been our guiding light is the population number. The population number in Strawberry Point has dwindled. It's down, like 30% from its all-time high. And, that's affecting retail, that's affecting sales tax, it's affecting businesses being able to be open. So, we've been working with the couple of people that do real estate development. We have a new house being built. There's going to be a second new house being built. In those instances, we're encouraging those builders to build 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom instead of 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses, trying to, attract people who are going to, have kids, make a capital investment in our community, be here for a while, and to bring the population up. And we see that happening. Like there's a couple new, like I said, a couple new houses being built. There's some remodeling going on throughout town. There's one guy who moved a house here. That was a spectacle to see. It was really cool. But other than that, the other guiding light is, having a solid infrastructure. That's something I feel really strongly about, that, people will move into a city that has a good infrastructure, that has money in the bank, not too much of a loan balance. And these are all things that we're going for. But this is a new council. This is the opportunity to sort of articulate what some of your goals are so that we can compile them and bring forth a budget in 2 weeks that corresponds to those things that you want to accomplish as the city council.
I'll start. I would love to see a huge growth in our economic development.
Okay.
As everyone knows, we've lost 2 very large businesses in town, and the prospect of getting those back seems to be pretty slim. And, just like Chris said earlier, talking about having your economic development help these people find them, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to point people in the right direction when we don't have anyone to point them to.
Got it. And do you envision that as something independent of the Chamber of Commerce? Like, are you envisioning that as a division or department or a function of city government, or?
I don't know. I find it hard for the chamber to take it on because they're volunteers like everybody else is.
Right.
So I don't see that being feasible, but it's hard telling. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And then any other ideas about economic development? Because like what I'll do is I can take these, knowing what the issue is and what we want, like we can bring forth some ideas and proposals that correspond to that. But within that, like, we should have a goal. Mm-hmm. Because if we hire somebody to do economic development and we don't have that target on the wall that says this is the bullseye and this is what you're shooting for, then we're just paying somebody to promote stuff. And
one measurable one I could think of, we've got a lot of empty buildings downtown. If we set a goal of filling 2 of those buildings with viable retail businesses, or at least getting them occupied again instead of sitting empty, that would be wonderful.
Got it.
I think also to go along with the new housing, I don't know if we are offering any incentives for people to build. We have a 5-year tax abatement. We offer incentives for people to come in and build a new house.
Yeah.
Is there motivation for them to want to come in and build a new house? Can we help them with that by giving some tax breaks to encourage them to build? And along with that, one of the big issues we have is where we're going to build a new house here in Strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. To go along with that, we have an immense, I feel, because I walk around town a lot, we have a number of houses that are in disrepair that need to be taken down. Mm-hmm. And with taking down those current houses that are, in my opinion, non-livable and not being maintained, that will open up possible places for people to build decent places to go. And I think that's I think we've got to tie those two together, is we got to remove the houses that are unlivable, or force the people that own them to fix it up, and also provide motivation for people that want to build in town. And what can we do to offset so they're motivated to build?
Can I ask you a couple of clarifying questions there?
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is like a couple of different things. Like one is building standards that we would enforce. So, like back home where I come from, we had volumes of books on property standards that people had to abide by, otherwise, get a municipal, infraction. And, so there's one, there's condemning buildings, like if we think that there's somebody living in a inhumane place, are you suggesting go as far as find a way to condemn that building? And like, I just want to know, like, how far an arm are you suggesting on that?
There are empty houses that people aren't living in.
Yeah.
That need to be you're either going to live there, you're either going to fix it up, and you're going to have people live in it, or we're going to get rid of it and build a new structure on that lot, because they're an eyesore. And frankly, when we talk about people coming into town and want to establish new business, if you're going to come in and see run down houses, you're going to see houses that are unkept, you're going to see houses that should be torn down. That's not very attractive.
Got it.
And I look at Oldwine right now. If you drive on Highway 3 in Oldwine to a downtown Oldwine, they're doing a great job of taking down eyesores and putting in new structures that make that Highway 3 more appealing to people that want to come in there. And if we want people to come into our town, we've got to do something to help the cause.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. And I don't know what the process is. I don't know what it takes to remove a structure. I don't know what it takes to put pressure on people that own the structure to say, hey, fix your place up, or we're gonna proceed with some action. So it forces you to fix it up. So our town looks a little bit better than it looks right now in some areas.
Yeah. We have the mechanism in place to do that. What we don't have is the property standards that are strict enough. What I'm hearing is to bring forth like a property standards update to our ordinance that has a higher level of maintainability, or a higher level of standards for how people keep houses. So the mechanism is there, the law is behind it. We just have to decide how much control the local government has over what standards are agreed on. So, I could bring forth like a proposal that's like a good, better, best. Best being we have absolute control over your property. Worst being like maybe what we have now, which is minimal property standards and not a whole lot of enforcement. So, and then you probably land somewhere between those. Does that sound like what you're talking about?
Well, I think we need to do something, and that would be an equitable plan. I think is, we haven't done that since I've been here a long time, and we have never forced the issue.
Yeah.
And so you have rundown houses, you have places that, in my opinion, are inhabitable to live. People aren't living in them, so they just sit. And they sit, and they sit, and they're terrible to look at when you drive through town.
Yeah.
And, one place has a trailer parked, a camper parked out in front, and the guy lives in the camper, and he runs a generator 24 hours a day. Well, the house is sitting next to him empty.
Yeah.
But he's living in the trailer. Well, why can't you live in the house? Why can't you fix the house up?
Yeah.
So those issues need to be addressed.
Okay.
And if we're talking about moving people into town and getting people to open a business, we've got to make it attractive for them to do that, and we've got to give them some motivation, and I think that's part of it.
Great. All right. Okay. Do people generally concur with? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then I'll bring forth like a specific goal around that. And I do know that we've got some money for demolition, in our accounts that we haven't used in a long time. So part of that will be spending down that account, giving some sort of incentive to demo. Yeah. So good. All right.
Great.
Super.
Well, that would tie into this Upper Explorer Land.
Grant program advertising,
Yeah.
Get it out there and see if people want to use it.
Great.
I have more on my list.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Lead away.
That was one, Mayor Evans, you got to attract new and maintain current businesses. We have our ambulance people, we got to do something to get our ambulance
Yeah.
going and up.
But we're talking about that next.
I know,
Yeah.
but that's on my list.
Good.
That's on my list because that is a huge concern to our citizens.
Yeah.
And we have lost people because we haven't had an ambulance service and have had to wait for RMC to get here or Edgewood to get here. And it needs to be addressed and we need to put big emphasis on that. I just talked about urban revitalization and housing incentives. We got to work on our water sewer infrastructure. I know that's a big issue. We got to take care of some catch areas and address those so that we don't have some issues like we had last July. I would like to see us restart our Parks and Rec board and add to that board a tree board so that when people have trees in the parking, they don't take that, they don't take it onto their own responsibility to take care of those. We need to address that. We need to plant some more trees. We were a tree city here for a lot of years. We're no longer a tree city. That's a great program. We've cut a lot of trees down, but we haven't planted them. And again, that adds to the beauty of our town when you're driving through it. I would like to see our council reps here as representatives to other city boards. And I don't know if we do that already. I know we've got an ambulance board, or we've got a library board. I don't know if anybody here goes to those meetings so that we're aware. We've got fire guys have a meeting, our fire department has a meeting.
So I'm the fire department liaison.
Yeah.
Larry was the library liaison, so somebody needs to.
We should probably hand those
Okay.
back out.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you're volunteering for any of those, talk to
So-
Yeah.
Every department has
No,
a liaison.
Yeah,
I would volunteer for the Parks and Rec board and the tree board so that we can get that going, but I don't know where that sits right now. I know there are people interested in
I think,
getting
correct me
those.
if I'm wrong, but I think that was abolished, right?
It doesn't exist anymore.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought, yep.
I mean, making it exist would not be difficult.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just a resolution and
You gotta
I'll
get the
write
right
the
people in
bylaws.
there to contribute and want to be there.
It's hard to get volunteers.
Yeah.
That's the issue, yeah.
Hard to get
That's why
volunteers.
the tree board was shut down.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
tried twice to get people to read.
Yeah, it's hard.
Somebody wanted to do it.
But
So,
I think the pool board set a good example
Yeah.
of what could be.
They can
Yeah.
come back.
Well, if the pool board is part of the Parks and Rec board, you would have any trouble finding
Yeah,
people.
right. So I think
So
that was,
if you tied that in.
yeah, that was a hopeful example of what
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, also, like, we could do a survey of the community and, ask if people are interested in serving. If we were to reinstitute that, get names and addresses and phone numbers of people who would be interested in serving, that would give some indication on, how many people would be, because we need, 5 to 7 people that are dedicated.
It's hard though.
Very
because,
hard.
I mean, you look at the people that volunteer and they're
Yeah.
the people that volunteer at school,
Right.
they volunteer
It's the
at
same
community,
people.
they
Yeah.
volunteer at church. It's the same
Yeah.
people that volunteer for everything.
Yeah.
And that would be our job, is to go out and recruit people that we know would be good members of the board that aren't involved,
Yeah.
so that they have some ownership in making some decisions. And that's part of the thing, I think, part of the problem we have is we have people that have great opinions, but they feel like they don't have any ownership. So now if I'm on the park board, if I want that pool to be opened and I know that pool board is part of the Parks and Recs board, I'm gonna get on that because I know I have some ownership and my say is gonna count. And I think that's the message we gotta get out to people. You're gonna be on the board and your opinion is gonna matter to me because I can bring that back to the council. If you have an opinion, I'm gonna be your liaison. I'm gonna bring it back to the council. I'm gonna bring it to Dano, and your voice is gonna matter. I think we got a fair amount of people in our community that feel like their opinion doesn't matter. It just falls on empty ears, and it can't happen that way. I mean, we've been elected by our people, and we're the representatives to our community. We've got to be good listeners, and we've got to make sure our community people know that their voice matters. And it's just not gonna fall on empty ears, like some things have happened. And I think that's our job, that's what we were elected to do, is be a liaison, be a conduit for our community people, so that they have a place where they can make good compliments, they can make good suggestions, and those things are gonna be heard, and that would be our responsibility. Clayton County is the 5th obese and unhealthy county in the state of Iowa. One thing that I think we gotta do is improve our curbs and make all of our curbs walking curbs. So there's no step-ups. I don't know how many curbs that we have left to go, but I know there's 5 in my area that need to be replaced, and they need to all be walking curbs so that we can get our citizens out and walk. We get our people with walkers, our people with wheelchairs, our people with electric wheelchairs, electric scooters can get out on the sidewalks and get out and move without having to worry about going out on the street and making that turn so they don't have to jump a curb.
So you're talking about making them like handicap accessible?
Well, we, like the ones here are.
Yep.
Okay, going from, the Press Journal down to Nadine's, that's a great slope, and that lets people move it. But the one over on Buffalo and Park Avenue is terrible. It's terrible. That's a trip hazard. I'm surprised somebody hasn't broken a hip or broken a leg. You know, so those need to be addressed so that people feel good about being able to get out and use the sidewalks that we have. And then we've got to repair the sidewalks that aren't in very good shape. If we want people to get out and we want people to be active, they've got to be able to walk on a clean sidewalk. And I think we've got to address that. And the last one I have here is, as a council, we've got to improve our visibility in city activities. So if there's a city activity going on, we've got to have great representation with what's going on.
I agree.
And I would like to start that with when Strawberry Days is up. I think it'd be a great idea that we had a council float. I think it'd be a great idea if several of us was in the 5K walk, 5K run if you feel like it. I think we need to be at the whatever activity is going on, we need to have a representative at that activity so that we are visible and we know what's going on. And that's an easy goal. I mean, that's an easy, smart goal to set up.
Got it.
I know, Doug, you were in the farmer's market, and that was one of your concerns, that where's everybody at? You know, this is the farmer's market, and you know, I'm going to add one more to that list, is I think we can make better use of Inger Park. You know, Inger Park right now, we used to have summer concerts during the summer. Those were outstanding. People came from all over to hear whatever act was going on. And if we could somehow arrange a summer concert.
They have been. They have been having a concert there.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
they really have.
Really?
They have.
Who's put it out? Who's put it out? Is there a list in the paper?
Yes.
Point
Yes.
Midland is the one usually.
Yes.
Well, we need to do a better job. You know, we need to do a better job. Because I didn't know.
I'll let Laura know.
Hey,
You know?
Text message.
So that's what I'm talking about.
No, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Half of us know something's going on, half of us don't,
Yeah.
because our communication transparency is terrible.
Yeah.
You know, if we're gonna want people to come into town, and you're gonna do something at Inger Park, you're gonna have a farmer's market and a concert after the farmer's market. We gotta get that out. You know, so people can see it and people can come and enjoy time and, you know, Point Vision can sell popcorn and lemonade or whatever like they used to do.
Well, and I think piggybacking off of that is working together to like coordinate so it's all on the same night to bring everybody for one big event, and instead of breaking them up into little things might help too.
Well, that summer concert series was a great deal, you know.
They've been good. I've been to a few of them.
Yeah, I go to them all the time.
But to your point, like if you don't know that they're happening and you
Yep.
live a couple of 100 yards away from there,
And how the other people
that's a
don't know
problem.
what's going on. you
Yeah.
know? So,
Right. By the way, I'm taking I compile a summary of all of the goals.
Good list, Robert.
And then, yeah, so don't worry, I'm taking notes.
I'm sorry, I've got my list is over.
No, it's good. The more the better, because we can distill it and see where there's agreement, you know. So, anybody else?
I agree with the parks. Like, I think there's stuff, like the walking trail, I would like to see some lighting, maybe some solar lighting along the walking trail. I know a lot of people, like when the lighting, time changes, a lot of people, it's still nice out, but it's dark, and it's really not safe to walk down there when it's dark. It would be nice to have some type of solar lighting down there for people that do want to walk.
Okay.
Be nice to have a dog park in this town too, for pet owners that have dogs that we can't socialize anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some talks about making the inside of the track a dog park, which could be really nice.
Yeah.
It's big.
Pretty wet down there, but.
It's what?
It gets wet down there, doesn't it?
You know, there's
Yeah.
not-
Give 'em a bath.
Exactly, multitask, yeah. All right, let's see here. Okay.
I do think, I agree with the mayor that the commercial district really needs to be looked at seriously because, and you know, I don't know if there's any cure for the problem because of the population shrinking, not only here in Strawberry Point, but in rural America as a whole,
Yeah.
you know, and we have to become creative and start realizing that our small independent businesses are gonna have to compete against corporate, like, I don't wanna say Dollar General or Walmart or Plus, they now have to compete against Amazon, online, deliver to your door stuff. I mean, to get a retail business in a small town is,
Yeah.
it's gonna be very difficult, but
We faced, where I was back home on the city council, you know, 54,000 people, we had 13 business districts in 4 square miles. And we faced the exact same problem that we're having here. Oak Park had a dwindling population and an Amazon, and it was really hard. We had a lot of vacancies in our commercial districts. And, one thing I've been pushing since I got here is population growth. We did that in Oak Park. We built some bigger buildings there. We raised the population up 5,000 or 6,000 people. And then, I'm a firm believer that, like, the economic vitality comes after the population growth. So bringing people here, whether they be visitors or residents, that is the catalyst that will drive economic development. We can't, we have a couple of, like a business that's like a hobby business, open sometimes, beautiful store, but inconsistent hours. We have some other commercial buildings that are used for non-sales tax generating businesses, service type businesses. These are really difficult things to overcome, because there's just, the only retail that's left really is really unique and small retail that, people want to go to, and eating and drinking establishments, like those, and we've had trouble getting people to invest in those locally. So, I'm a firm believer in population and that vitality follows, because it's just going to be really difficult, and not impossible, but difficult to get people to fill in those spaces if they can't get customers to come in and buy stuff, and that goes for every kind of business or service. So I think we could do better in economic development. I just want to be realistic about the goals, because it's, we could spend a lot of money and see, a small uptick, and I just want to be cautious that we don't, have there's no magic pill, right? Like there's no silver bullet. Yeah.
well, and also I wanted to bring up too that I have spoken with Dino and Roger was at a meeting with the Heart and Soul program here. They've been pitching this idea to Strawberry Point, and this idea is an idea where we would have, similar to what Roger is saying, we would pick a person from each one of our groups, and they would come together and work on the problems that are here in Strawberry Point, also focusing on the good things that we have and building off of those. And with that, we could use this group of people as a tool for the city to put together their proposals for the city council to look at. We would get a better sense of what the feeling of the citizens of Strawberry Point are, because we're going to go with a broad spectrum of people, hopefully, and get them to participate. The problem I see with that, though, is keeping it motivated, keeping it going, and which is the same with any organization. But we're looking at doing that. We're putting together a team to start moving forward with that. When we do, these things will come to the council, and we'll be discussing those. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, that could possibly take the place of the city having to hire an economic development coordinator. However successful we were with that, and that way we wouldn't have to spend as much money on our out of our tax rolls for that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to working with that.
Okay.
Anybody else
Anything
have any? This is a nice list, so like I said, I'll compile this tomorrow and get this out as a working document, and then try to put some measurements to these, and then, in the next meeting we can, here's the proposed city goals with the measurements. I'll put them in the SMART layout and see if we can get some ways to measure these, so this is good. Anybody else have any?
You guys had great things. I think growth is probably the biggest one. You know, if we can get growth, it might change a lot of things. It might get people to join that board or volunteer or do something. I think
Yeah.
that's a huge one.
All right, thanks everybody for the good discussion.
Yeah, great discussion, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to number 18, motion to discuss city ambulance service.
Make a motion.
All right, Mr. Tony, come over here.
We have a
Remind you-
second.
What was that?
We need a-
Oh, you need a second, sorry, I thought.
I'll second.
Okay, all right.
This is the microphone that you're gonna be heard on, so. All right, so basically, you've seen the one pager. I'm not gonna reiterate every point on it because it's already getting late. But basically, we've made a lot of improvements in the last year on the ambulance service. Especially the last 6 months have gone really well, and, you know, and I thank Tony for being the catalyst behind that and making these changes. But what we're discovering is if we want to get anywhere near 100% of calls responded to, we have to seriously consider having a full-time service. And what that would look like is a full-time director, and it would be, that director would cover calls during those working hours, and then having an on-call, paid on-call for a driver and a responder 24/7, you know, not 24/7, obviously the times that the director's not responsible for those calls. And it is a serious additional investment, but I feel like we've tried as best we can, and I mean that honestly, and you guys all know I'm the most critical person. We've given it a really good shot, and we just can't get over 80%, and it's just, we've had new trained people. The police have been instrumental in getting us up to that number and covering those calls, and I really appreciate that dedication and all that extra work that went in by those guys. And we have, you know, some other trained people, but what we're finding is people don't want to give up their weekend to wait for an ambulance call without being compensated, and quite frankly, I can't blame them. So I think if we want to be serious about having our certified ambulance, you know, being maintained and making sure that we're available, I have in front of you a proposal to look at. It has a pretty full-blown pro forma on it that shows that making this step is going to cost us about an additional $70,000 a year initially, and that number will reduce as our billings go up. But we're not going to be able to get the billings up until we can respond to calls, and we're not going to be able to respond to calls until we make a commitment to have a full-time service. And so it's one of those, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg sort of thing, and we're figuring out it's the nest egg, you know, the money to fund it. So I endorse us doing this. I would like to test it. We have the money to do it. We have ample money in an ambulance equipment reserve fund that we don't need a new ambulance. Our ambulances are fine. We could shift some of the money from there to, you know, give this a year and see if it's going to work the way that we think it's going to work. And then the additional benefits are, you know, all the additional billings that we would get. And we've also talked to our medical director, who would give us a provisional paramedic protocols, which would also allow us to do more calls and charge appropriately for them. So I think it's there. I don't know that we'll ever be profitable from our charges to cover it, but I think we could get to a point where our billings are covering the additional investment that we would be making. But that's only a thesis, and the only way to know is to try. You know, every time that radio goes off, everybody's heart sinks because we just don't know, you know, are we going to be able to respond or not, and is there going to be someone who is ready and able to go and take that call. So, Tony's going to answer all of your questions. I just wanted to give the overview. I know this is a big decision, and this is just a discussion tonight, and if there's a consensus to bring forth a detailed proposal, that would be in the next meeting with all of the financials hardened, well thought out, and a job description for job description for the ambulance director, for the on-call people, protocols, like everything would be in the proposal. So tonight is just, we need direction.
I don't think you left anything for Tony to explain.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, you're welcome. It's the best presentation ever. You're listening to that only speak here.
I have a couple of questions. How many members do you currently have? EMTs?
So I currently put in the fleet on where they should have been to begin with, just being backup crew for the city of Strawberry. I have 3 providers, myself, Tucker, and Emily Clark. Drivers, I have Jesse, I gotta think about this, Jesse, Chris, John Fletcher, who am I forgetting? Justin McDonald, and Tim Buck. So I'm a 3 to 5 ratio, and none of us working now, except for one.
None of the paramedics, or all of you together?
Only one provider works here in town.
Okay.
Jesse just joined the service probably 2-3 months ago, to help us out with some daytime coverage. But otherwise, Justin usually, drivers aren't near as difficult to get in.
Yep.
But providers, obviously, you know, we spend a year plus going to school. We spend thousands of dollars, whether it be city money or our personal dollars. We spend thousands of hours a year doing training, you know. And so what we typically find, and what you will find if you go out and start talking to other communities, is that those providers who go get certified, they're going to the larger cities to find hospital-based CMS positions that they're going to make a livable salary on. Most of the crew that we currently have is under the same agreements. We didn't join the Strawberry Point Ambulance to make money. When I did it, it was in the middle of COVID, the worst possible time to ever think about getting back into healthcare, but here we are. With that being said, I think just talking with some of the few crew members that we do have, you know, if we put together a night and weekend holiday on-call package, you know, $5 an hour, you know, and we change the per call pay to an actual hourly call pay, because the average call is 2 hours. From the time that truck is dispatched to the time you get back, restock, finish your report, clean your truck, you're looking at 2 hours turnaround. That's a lot of time to commit. You know, if I have 6 calls in one day, that's 12 hours, that's a job. You know, and unfortunately, in this field, as we all know, we can't predict who's having an emergency when, you know, and that's the biggest struggle. You know I've had several of you guys, yourselves, I've had Dino approach me, I've had people, the constituents of the community. This happened, where was the crew? This happened, where was the crew? You know, nothing irritates me more than when I'm here 4 days a week and we don't get a single page. But the second I get Decatur, we get several, you know, and it's like, I'm at that position where I either need to decide if I'm going to focus and help Strawberry, or if I'm going to continue that. Obviously, I would like to stay here in town. I'm missing my kids' sports events, I'm missing time away from my family, and then I'm coming here dedicating countless hours here. As well as the rest of my crew, you know. Unfortunately, like Dino said, there's a lot of gaps in our coverage right now, and there is no enforceable policy per se that dictates you have to take this call at this time. I did implement started February 1st, every crew member is obligated to fulfill 48 hours a month. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. When I rejoined the service 18 months ago, we had an abundance of people on our roster. And as I started pulling reports, most of these people haven't ran a call in over 2 years. Now, you want to talk about money being wasted. The city is paying errors and omissions insurance on every single person that we put on our insurance.
I have a question on that. So if you're on the fire department and you're a driver, are you covered?
We'd have to ask the insurance company about that.
So that was not looked at before we got rid of 7 drivers?
We got rid of 4 drivers.
Asking.
I removed 4 drivers from my roster. That was it. The problem is that just because fire and EMS get paged out simultaneously to a car accident, some of those people were already on my roster. If you guys are acting as a firefighter on a call, and for whatever reason, and I need a driver, yes, we will pull one of you guys over. We've done it before, we'll do it again. You know, we'll do what we have to do in that moment to get that situation taken care of. My problem is specifically having individuals listed, you know, because in our system and with the state of Iowa, we have Strawberry Point Fire. So that gives us kind of a broad coverage, right? And that's mostly for you guys to be able to operate our trucks as well. But to have, when I have members who come to me and say, I want to be a part of the fire, or part of the ambulance department, well, that takes more than just saying it. You know, we have meetings and trainings just like fire does. You don't come, how do you know what our protocols are? How do you know what laws have changed within the state? How do you know that I haven't completely revamped everything in the truck to make it more convenient for me who runs 90% of the
And how often do you guys have meetings?
Every month.
Every month now?
Every month.
They weren't for a while, so that's why I'm
They
asking.
weren't for a while.
Long-term.
Again, I won't lie, I did take a little bit of a back seat there for a minute, because if somebody doesn't feel valued and they're only paid to work 20 hours a week, would you commit any more time to that project? So I did take a little bit of a back seat. We got some new life into the service. The calls have been going better. Our response have been better. They're still far from perfect, but we had to start somewhere, and I realized right then and there, after talking with Dino a little bit and talking with some of the crew members, that change had to start with me. Okay, so I've been putting in more hours than I care to count. You can ask my family. And we have, like Dino said, we've made major improvements. We've gotten all of our licenses revamped. You know, now that the government shutdown's over, we're starting to collect those claims again. But we have to dictate what the future is going to be. We had 244 calls to the service last year. Strawberry Point answered 44. We are due for an inspection next spring. I have been in contact with our state rep. If we cannot get those calls over 100, we are looking at a shutdown. What that will mean is that you guys as a city will still be obligated to provide a first responder service. We will no longer be allowed to transport them. We will be requiring on hospitals like RMC, Oline, Mercy, Alcater to come in and do your transport.
Which also means zero billing.
Correct.
But then we still have to pay them to do that.
Right.
I mean, so
Correct.
we're gonna be spending more money one way or the other.
Most hospitals, when they have to come in and start taking over transports, the money in 911 is tight to balance out your budget. Like Dino said, we're getting really close to balancing that out, and I've got a few ideas moving forward, but we have to cross the one bridge first. Where was I?
I want to jump in and talk about the driver roster. Nobody's been banned from the roster, and that clearing of the roster of I was probably the catalyst of that, because I said, well, you know, let's see a list of who's never driven for the ambulance, right?
But that's not a fair statement to say, because there's tons of times those drivers showed up and there was no EMT.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you can't count them, and they didn't get paid to show up.
Correct.
You know, they sat there at the station for 20 minutes and waited for somebody and nobody showed.
Right.
I agree.
But
So that's not a fair statement to say.
Well, the other thing is,
people showed up.
the other thing that I was adamant about is, if you are going to clear the roster, make sure that they are welcome to join the ambulance department with the new sort of requirements, and taking some on-call, time that he's instituted this last month. So it's not a punitive measure. It's a measure of who's with us, who's motivated, who's going to show up. So again, it wasn't designed to be punitive or cause any damages to anybody. It was just designed to have a bench that he knew he could count on. And if people want to rejoin that bench, that's great. And I told him, this isn't a way to. Nobody's trying to hurt anybody's feelings here. We're
Once
just trying
again,
to.
like Roger said, communication, it was just cut off. There was
Yeah,
nothing.
well, it probably could have been communicated better, and that's on Tony.
Throw you in.
But anyway, but let's move on from that, because
So
anybody who.
realistically, how do you uphold the requirements though? I mean, they're a
You can't.
volunteer
You
service.
can't until we go to a paid, so if we go to a paid service and you sign up for on-call mandatory, you are legally obligated to show up if there's a call. So that's the rub here, is that we can't mandate that people show up if we're not compensating them in any way.
Are your people on your crew willing to do that right now?
Yes.
All of them?
On top of their regular jobs
Yes.
and
Correct me
being on.
if I'm wrong, because right now aren't these two answering a majority of the
About
calls on.
95% of the
You didn't say their names.
That's open issue, because
I told the police.
we're not really transporting it.
We're not always,
Like the
we're not always transporting, it's,
I mean, are we, as a council, okay with putting that much stress on our police force?
Right.
Well,
I don't wanna burn somebody
You
out.
know, we don't wanna burn you guys out either, that's not fair.
right, it's, kind of to build on what Mr. Reed said, it's, I feel like as a city, we're in a pretty good spot right now as far as first responders. So EMS, fire, police, I feel like a lot of things are being mended, we're moving in the right direction as far as like working together. I've gotten a lot of invitations for fire meetings, obviously ambulance meetings, we only wanna make that go further.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it would be a huge step in bringing everything together, because I mean, but there's gonna have to be, like Megan said, some very good communication, and those relationships have to be built. So,
We're also planning on attracting more people to the service. Like right now, we have zero chance of somebody from out of town coming in and taking on call hours and, you know, with no compensation. But if there was a paid on-call, we may get commitments from other qualified people in the general area to take those calls on nights and weekends. And so,
Kind of where I was going with that is if we have other members that are in rotation for on-call, that's actually lightening their load in the way that they're answering 95% of the calls right now.
right.
kind of like Tony said too, is the goal when we implemented the EMS officer program was, we're already on duty, so we respond, we get there, we start treating, we can do pretty much everything besides transport, because we have our select guard, we have our go bags that have oxygen, medications, everything we need to do. And then from there, ambulance gets there. In a perfect world, we hand everything over to them, they transport, we go back in service. But also, as we go back in service with law enforcement, we're back to crew now. So we did it one other, I think it's only happened one time, but, where Tony and somebody else were out at the school, because they do those responsibilities too for the varsity events. John and I were the service, and it went about 20 minutes after they left town, and then, so John and I, we're rolling the dice as far as, you know, taking from the law enforcement coverage, but at the same time, an emergency is an emergency. So, I mean, if there's I think that day it was a medical call, obviously, we ended up picking the gentleman up, went to the hospital, we didn't get a call over to them. Clayton County, they're our backup for law enforcement, so they can provide backup until we get to town. What I do is I usually just tell them, hey, I'm a provider on this medical call, I'm gonna be out of town, cover my calls till we get back. And you get a 10-4, and away you go.
Yeah.
So what my proposal to Dina was is if we actually implemented, one, start with a full-time director, okay? That, if you align your director's hours with city hours, you're looking at coverage 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, right? The second goal was implement nights and weekends on call and holidays, you know, 'cause obviously city isn't open those days. So what then becomes, and is that I would basically, Brandon is nice enough to share his police schedule with me every month. So that's kind of where I start filling holes, because as bad as it sounds, when I have PD here, at least I know I have somebody, right? That can at least first respond until Mercy or regional gets wherever the call is. By doing this, if there is a short, like, let's say Thursday night we can't get coverage, you know, then that director should alter his or her schedule to cover that opening. That's part of being a manager. Where we're at right now is one person can't take 100% of the call. That's not ever going to be feasible. The strain that you are putting, or that the community is putting on one person or one department or a whole nother service is astronomical. You know, we average 30 calls a month, you know, so I mean that's 1 a week. I would love to say if I had Sunday 8 to 4, I have 100% of my calls being answered, right? But we all know that's never going to happen. Those calls come in at 2 a.m. You know, Grandma goes to get up to go to the bathroom, trips the ball. Who's going to be there?
So we have had a full-time director. So what were the?
We have not had a full-time director.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
In the past, yes.
Yes. So what were the numbers when we had a full-time director?
The day calls got answered, your nighttime calls did not.
So there was still no
So it's gonna take more
Nothing
than
to hold
just
them
an
to it.
director.
The
It's gonna take-
big difference here is the on-call, the paid on-call is
Yeah.
the main variable that will switch, so.
So that's gonna be like a revenue thing, right? Do we have the money to afford it? Can we
It's
afford
on
it?
it's on the
I
pro forma,
understand,
yeah.
but we also lost Volga and Lamont, for those of you that maybe don't know that, so we don't.
Correct. So Volga
Respond to those
District,
calls.
Volga was my decision to make. They have 1 to 2 calls every 3 months. It
Mhm.
was very hard for us to get to it, and during the time when I came back on, that was also when they decided to do 2 bridge renovations at the exact same moment, and our response time was 40 minutes. I don't care who you are, 40 minutes is 40 minutes,
Well, that's what it is if regional medical center comes in, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess I'm
not
looking
quite
at the
so
revenue
much.
side of it. Is it something that we can get back?
Yes, so based off of the numbers that Dino and I ran, the first year we're gonna be stretched thin, okay? Especially as we onboard more people and stuff. But historically, when Teresa was the director, and we were taking 90% of our own calls, we had the money. You know, even as bad as Medicare sucks at reimbursing us for our claims, we still almost broke even every single year with our budget. One of the things that I mentioned to Dino about possibly implementing is there are a few times where I will get a call from a hospital in the area, whether it be regional, whether it be Sumner, Oline, whoever, saying we can't find a truck to take our patient, can you take them? Well, 99.9% of all your interfacility transfers are ALS. That's billed at a higher rate here. Those calls generally get covered by every insurance company regardless of what it is, okay? The problem is, if I don't have a crew to answer my 911 calls, how do I justify sending a crew out to take a transfer, right? So, if we get an actual on-call schedule put together, where let's say it's myself and Chris who's on call tomorrow night, and regional center calls me and says, hey, we have an emergent transfer, how fast can you guys be here? Then I can call Brandon, if he's on duty, and say, hey, Brandon, I got about a 4-hour transfer that I'm looking at, can you cover calls while I'm out of town? Yeah, tell me I can do that. So now your main on-call crew goes and takes that transfer, Brandon handles backup, when I come back, I'm back on call, and Brandon goes back to being back, right? So we closed a little bit of gap here. Am I telling you guys that that this solution is going to get 100% of our calls answered? No. We can put this procedure together, I can be out on a call, Brandon can get a second 911 call, and we can get a third one on top of that. It's happened before, you know, so, but if I can get our call volume to being around that 85-90%, even higher maybe, then I think that's where the point we break even, and anything else that we do on top of that, special events, the transfers, that type of thing, that's all icing on the cake. That's strictly revenue.
Would you be willing to sign like a contract with stipulations of whatever?
We
would
talked
decide?
about that. I'm a firm believer this is kind of hitting a reset button.
Right.
I think if we were to do this, full-blown duties and responsibilities, contractual agreement, everything laid out in black and white so that everybody knows exactly what the expectations are. You know, I think this is you know, a very serious issue, and if we don't get this straightened out, you know, people are gonna die. And so I wanna make sure that all the duties and responsibilities are out there and everybody's on the same page.
My conversation with Dino was if this were to get approved, and if you guys do decide to move forward with keeping me on as a full-time director, I will sign the contract. I'm not moving from Strawberry, I got 2 kids here. And I promised Dino that I would quit my other 2 jobs. Like, this will be 100% my focus. One, the burnout is ferocious.
So, on our 2 ambulances, what are the years on those 2 ambulances?
The one was purchased in '21, the other one was purchased, don't quote me 100%, but I believe 17 or 18. Both of the trucks go through an annual inspection that is state required. We send them down to road assist every year. They are ASE, whatever, certified. I'm not a mechanic.
But aren't they supposed to be on an 8-year rotation?
The previous board is the one who dictated that. I will tell you right now that my almost 5 years at Gunderson, we don't rotate a truck out of service until it hits 300,000 miles. So the way.
So if we're using lost funds to pay wages, then what are we using to buy new equipment?
The lost funds will be recouped. We're basically asking to borrow against the lost funds and my reserve, or the ambulance's reserve account, to basically for the seed money to get this up and rolling. Once we get the crews up and rolling and the calls start answering, there's no reason why we're not covering that $170,000 balance through our claim.
Yeah, and there's $147 in the ambulance equipment reserve.
That's currently, the lost account still needs to be balanced.
Yeah, so there's money in the lost fund that has not yet been put into the ambulance budget, so the money to do it is there, like, it is easily there.
So I'm just, like, 70,000 is gonna pay wages, it's gonna pay IFRS, it's gonna pay insurance, it's gonna pay vacation days.
It's 70,000 more
It's
than what we're at right now. Yeah. But keep in mind, like,
I mean, like, you really think that's gonna be enough, is what I'm asking.
I mean, you
have clothing allowances, insurance allowances, cell phone allowances, and.
So as of right now, when I checked numbers last week before I left to go to work, the ambulance department as a whole is operating at 60%, which puts us right on target for our budget. We have always historically had one of the smallest budgets within the city, and we've always made it work. Now, I will say that I will pat myself on the back for only being at 60, because I think if all of you guys recall when I first joined, every single one of our insurance certifications were expired. We had to pay to re-up them. Every piece of equipment, every drug that we carried was expired when I took over. Dino, you guys, myself, we spent close to $20,000 replacing everything out there. That was the hard part. Right, that's the hard part, because I had to justify why am I going to spend $20,000 to replace equipment when we're not even using it. So trucks are all inspected; they're perfectly fine. I just had Lifeline out here probably about 3 months ago. They ran through the trucks electronic; those are all fine. Stryker, our equipment manufacturer, they were just out here the end of last year. They did preventative maintenance on all of our stuff. There was no concerns with any of our equipment.
So our loading, both ambulances, the loading costs, both.
Now, knock on wood, I can't say that they're not going to break down tomorrow, but that's why we pay $10,000 a year for the Stryker people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a push.
And Lucas is in both
trucks. Both trucks. Grant season's coming up. One of my goals is I want equipment actually assigned to a truck, whereas right now, let's say if I take the 50, the Starmont truck out to the game, we're taking the stair chair out, we're taking the Lucas out, you know, there's things we have to move around to make sure that those are available for our community versus the game. We get grants, it's grant season, we can get a grant for a new Lucas, we can get a grant for a new stair chair, so those types of equipment, what we have is working, but if the crew and I decide that we need something more and we want to address that with the city council, my friend Julie is more than willing to help me write grants. So there's still a lot of the process I don't know very well.
Sure.
So it'll be a learning curve for all of us. All I'm asking is an opportunity to try something before we fail miserably.
No, I think it sounds great, and it's something that our community needs, is a better.
I agree. And I mean, like I said, Spencer's here on my behalf just to kind of, in case you guys had questions about the strain that we put on their service as a whole, you know. And I can say that recently we've kind of shifted things over to Mercy One and Elkader to kind of help alleviate some of the strain we put on RMC. And I know while our response times have gotten better, or responses in general have gotten better, I know Mercy's been here a handful of times already. And so what I don't want to do is I don't want to burn our mutual aid agreements with our community, because we're not taking any action to do something better for our community.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important to have an ambulance service in town. I don't ever want to see it go away. I think if it's something that we don't decide to put some money and effort into, I think it is something that we'll never get back if it goes away. I also think, Tony, you were given an opportunity a while back to be a change. So I'm hoping if this does go through and this is you, that you show us what you got.
Absolutely. It won't be easy, but we'll do it.
Is the thought to the director, will it be a salary position?
Yeah, this would be a salary position.
Okay.
So just some of my concerns,
Yeah.
because I definitely endorse it, but I also, you know, like keeping people motivated is very important, and I know that comes with compensation. Keeping up on our billing, you know, like some of the issues when people aren't getting paid is that we get behind on paperwork, we get behind on billing and accounts receivable. So, you know, some of the things that I've talked about with Tony is like, if this goes full-time, you know, we're looking at a monthly accounts receivable, who's on the phone capturing this money, who's making sure that the billings are getting done on time and being submitted to insurance, because if we don't submit them on time, we don't get paid. So there would be a much higher level of accountability, because the hours in that week would be there to actually have those things. But these are things that I'm not happy about at the moment, but I also acknowledge that we don't have the labor on hand to be able to do everything. And so it does require, a change. I will say the last 4 months has been a much different, experience in terms of seeing the ambulance service come, back to life. But at the same time, there needs to be an agreement. There needs to be absolute black and white with full transparency with the community and the council and me and Tony about who's responsible for what and at what time. And if these things aren't happening, there has to be accountability. And just right now, it's really hard to hold accountable when people aren't showing up for calls that they're not legally mandated to show up for. And that's what we're trying to alleviate. So it does come with a risk, right? And we have the money to give this a really good effort for a year, even 2 years, and see if we can turn the billings around and start taking more of these transport calls that we get paid for. We looked at the revenue. I mean, he'll tell you I was constantly barraging him with I need more numbers. It's pretty laid out in the pro forma, which we will improve upon if the direction is to bring a full-blown proposal. We'll harden these numbers and make sure that they're accurate. But I would say they're 95% accurate as is. And so it's risky, but I think the risk of not trying is greater than the risk of, the only thing we're risking by trying is money. And
So I guess my question still is, how do we think it's going to be different than the last time?
Then the last time we had a full-time, I can't answer that question because I wasn't here and I didn't manage that person, so I don't know. Do I think that we could be profitable? No. I don't think that our billings will ever fully pay for the ambulance service. There will be some level of taxpayer money supporting it, 100%.
Which there is anyway.
There is anyway, and so I don't want to make this sound like it's the,
It's not for profit in any way, we're trying to help better the community, help the community and service.
But if we could go full-time at, let's say $70,000 to $80,000 more a year than we're investing right now, but we could recoup 50 of that thousand in new billings, that's, that would make a limited more investment than what we're doing now, but we'd be a lot closer to 100% of the calls. So it's one of those things that I hate, because I know it just sounds politicky, but we won't know until we try. And all we know now is what happens if we don't try.
The other issue too is we were going through the numbers is the amount of hours that the crew members donate to cover special events that we don't get any type of compensation, or at best, they'll write a $100 check. Well, don't get me wrong, the donation is quite nice. We always welcome donations, but we lost over $3,500 last year to covering school events. That's something where
not just school, but like there's all these other things that we go to that we don't really get compensated for.
But that's things we should want to do anyway.
Well, but at the same time, like the school is a taxing entity, like they should have something in their budget to pay for a service, right? Like if they're taxing.
Are they required to have somebody there?
Certain events I know they're required to have there. For example, I know we're required to be at the state wrestling invite. We're required to be at the cross country thing. Football games, I'm not quite sure because they do provide their own medical.
Every football.
I'm a middle school football coach, and there were a couple games we needed an ambulance there, and we didn't have a trainer. We didn't have anybody that could take care of our guys. And I'm looking around and thinking, we don't even have a trainer here, and we don't have an ambulance here. We got a kid laying on the ground that can't move his legs.
And those are the calls.
And we're all looking at each other. We're all looking at each other, thinking, okay, what are we gonna do? There's nobody here.
And like I said, my goal isn't to go out to all these people who host these special events and just get greedy with them, but hey, let's have a conversation and see if we can meet somewhere in the middle, or at least do you have enough in your budget that you can pay us our costs? Because when we pay 2 crew members to go out to let's use the invite, the wrestling invite, that's almost $12 hours. At $15 a crew member per hour,
Yeah.
that adds up very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and we do a lot out there. We do all the medical stuff, we handle the nosebleed station, we go out and help clean up the mats. You know, it's not like we're just sitting out there playing on our phone.
Right.
You know, our crew hustled this last year.
But to your point, Michelle, like, it is a service that we should provide, but at the same time, we could go to the school and say, hey, could you put a line item in your budget to help us defray some of
Right,
the...
I guess what I'm saying is if we don't go, Arlington would be glad to, and then it's their name on the ambulance sitting out there and not ours.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I mean, what do you
That-
want? Like, what's your PR on it?
right.
Today, yes, but every small volunteer service is struggling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not here to talk bad about Arlington, but I know currently they are not operating. You know, we've helped out with a handful of their calls. Fayette's helped cover their calls. Owens helped cover their calls. Edgewood is just like us. They're struggling, but they're chugging along. We've helped out on several of their calls. They've even helped me on several of mine. That's why we have the mutual aid agreements in place. Starmont is our district. It will remain our district. That will be the last piece of territory that I will give away loosely. Like, it's just not gonna happen. We have a vested interest. We have a truck with their logo on it.
Right. Is this a position that we have to open up for everybody, or you can fill in-house? How does that work?
That's up to the city council. I mean, this is a reset, so we could make the job available, posted. You know, we have posted a job before. We didn't have a lot of success. At the same time, we did hear that, like, there was one candidate who could only do it if it was a full-time job. That would have to be a decision you guys could make. We could certainly fill it in-house with Tony. He's been the director. We could also put the job out there. You know, it's that ethical decision is kind of up to you guys to make. So we could repost that job with all of the new requirements and re-interview Tony and re-interview anybody else that applies. So that is a decision, you know, that you guys can make, and I can't really have an opinion on it one way or another. Obviously, I've said I've had a good working relationship with Tony, and I feel like the last several months has gone well. With that said, it is a new full-time salaried position, and it wouldn't be unreasonable or wrong to post it as a job.
So what are you looking for us tonight? Are we,
Just direction.
Okay.
So because what comes after this is, if the direction is, yes, let's give it a shot, then at the next meeting, we will have a resolution, we will have a sample contract, we will have duties and responsibilities, we will have a timeline on what it's gonna take to get enough crew members to have that 24/7 coverage. We'll have hard numbers on the pro forma. It's probably 20 hours of work just to put the proposal together. The what? Yeah. I'm gonna have to listen to the recording.
I mean, is this something we're gonna do like the swimming pool, where it's like, we have to meet requirements A, B, C, and D, or it's not happening, or?
I think it has to be hardened. It has to be black and white, and I do think that we, have to be meeting some stuff. With that said, it's not gonna be instantaneous 24/7 coverage, because we do need to get more responders that are certified. And whether that means attracting some locals, right outside of our immediate area that are qualified to do it, because now that there's an
You will
on-call.
have a good start at 8 hours of coverage.
We would have a
day.
good start with who we have, but we would need to bring on, probably several other providers.
I think we currently have 3
Yeah.
that are on my wait list. I'm just waiting for a class to reopen.
Oh, sure.
And I'm at the mercy of local colleges for
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
But I also think, Michelle, to your point, if we're not hitting benchmarks, which could be laid out in the proposal, if we're not hitting benchmarks, we're not gonna go 2-3 years
Right.
wasting
Right.
money if we're not hitting the benchmarks.
So, I'll put my 2 cents in. I think that we should try this for a year, absolutely, to see if it can work and if it's gonna benefit our community. And then on a separate note, I think that we should do Tony as the director on a probationary year to make sure everything works with you, that we stay doing good and proactive and kind of a twofold. That's my 2 cents.
Cool.
Well, I think having an ambulance service in our community would, if we polled our citizens, I think this would be on the top 5 list for concerns about our community, is, because I know when we didn't have an ambulance service, we had some people, I had some neighbors that had some issues, and boy, to wait for Spencer to drive up from Manchester was just a killer, literally a killer.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just too long, so I think our community would be, I'm speaking for myself on how I feel, but I think our community would appreciate having an ambulance service back in town that's qualified, that can respond quickly, and that they can get the service that we need. So I would be in favor of approaching this and going for it. If the money's in the budget, it's not gonna take anything away from anything else, and we can handle it. My other question is, would we then be available, I know Edgewood was covering for us, would we be available then to increase what we do
Yes, our mutual
to
aid.
service
Yep, our-
service others, and that would be another opportunity for,
So that's a twofold solution right there. So yes, our 28 agreements work both directions. So if Edgewood's short-staffed and they have an incident, they know that they get paid just. As if it's kind of hit or miss, if county knows that I'm available, they will most definitely pay just. If they don't know we have a crew available, then they usually pay RMC for those calls, just because time is up at the essence there. Second fold to that thing is that with Doc, with you guys, if you guys vote to go full-time service, and you bring in a director who is advanced level and above, one, that's gonna increase your billable rates, right? I can find a justifiable cost to do a cardiac monitor on almost every single patient in Strawberry. I can justify a cost for starting an IV on almost 95% of our patients. Those all add up very quickly in the realm of billing. On the same token, by us getting the more advanced protocols, at that point then, if Edgewood only has a basic crew available, then they would be able to call us to come intercept with them if RMC's tied up on a transfer and they're operating on a backup crew, or Mercy's too far away. So in those, then the director will create the same thing that what RMC and I have in place, where we have a tier contract, which means I'm gonna bill you guys X amount of money because you're gonna get your patient insurance, right? But it was my personnel, my drugs, my equipment that got used. So it adds to that I don't wanna say revenue, but it adds back into our bank.
But it also gives us that option too, because there's been several emails called the basic, what Leland and I do, and John will do soon. There's been several calls where we've said, you know, hey, keep RMC coming, or keep Elgator coming, this person needs an IV and fluids, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll tier with RMC halfway, you know, like that return or something. I mean, just that 10 minutes of getting that person fluids, they're gonna be way better off by the time you get to the hospital.
Right. And
So
so
that doesn't need a protocol, that would be huge.
that would work twofold too, because if Brandon, you know, if we get a lift assist request in town, and let's say Brandon's nice enough to go take it because I'm on a phone meeting or something, and he texts me and says, hey, I need ALS, you know, then I go, right? I just jump in my car to go. I mean, it's that simple.
All right, so I have try it with Tony as the director of probationary period, contract.
I would like
benchmark.
to see applications, just because, I mean, we can offer those people hours.
Right.
Like, you know, if they don't get the director position, we know that they're qualified, and we can offer them potential on-call hours, and we have contacts.
Yeah, all right, so you're suggesting we take the job.
And open it up to whoever
post
wants
it,
to apply.
Let Tony's
And then
obviously
that gives
in
us
the mix.
contacts
Right,
and potential.
all right.
I think that's a good idea,
That's a
even
great
just
idea.
like the contact
That's a
part of
great
it,
idea.
you know, just so you have the people, you know, Tony, obviously you got a foot up in the race, you know, but I think
Right.
that, I think it's good just to even get names and numbers for potential people that would serve you.
Right.
Okay.
Doug, do you have any input? You've been very quiet.
Well,
We
yeah.
talk too much.
No, I'm
Hey,
just listening and learning. I'm just listening and learning. I do agree, I think we should go ahead and go ahead and make it a full-time position. I also agree that with her, that the application process would be beneficial to the city in more ways than one, and I'm all for it.
Okay.
There you go, you got your answer.
All right, so I got the direction, so we'll have a resolution and something to vote on in the next meeting on this, so.
Great.
Thank you, I know this is super complicated and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
And
thank
the-
you,
the
all
one
your
issue-
information.
Yeah, the one issue in town that keeps a lot of people awake at night,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm glad that we're at least making an attempt on it, so
Great.
thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to number 19, resolution 2605, approving the purchase of fire gear for an amount not to exceed $5,000.
Make a motion.
Okay, motion and second.
Great, okay, so this was part of the grants thing that I talked about in the announcement, so this is for gear, half of which is going to be covered by a federal grant. So needed gear, the fire chief is here to answer any questions you might have.
What all is the gear, Jason? I'm sorry, I was looking at the thing, but I can't remember which paper.
I gave you the list of what we were gonna purchase.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you.
It's gonna be 3 sets of wildland gear.
Oh,
just
okay.
light gear.
It's in there.
I just didn't have the paper, sorry.
Yeah.
Shirts, pants, coveralls, brush coats. Cool. 2 units of, sorry, I couldn't find my paper, I was trying to find it this way. Too many papers, I have like a book.
This is a big packet, yeah, that's
Some of the nozzles have they blow off the truck and they get drugs and then they get,
Bend and
they're
bend.
just kinda, yeah. And I've had a couple of them where we put, like, the 2.5-inch hose up to them, and it blew an O-ring into the tank, and then it sucks the O-ring in and jams it into the nozzle. It kinda screws the tips up. I've kind of taken them apart and kind of pulled the O-rings out and fixed it, but they still leak. Some of them don't shut off all the way.
It just doesn't get right to you.
Yeah, it's just time to replace them.
Make sure everybody's awake.
Yeah, I thought maybe somebody plugged the siren back.
So we have the grant, so city's match was like 2,300, is that correct?
About that,
Yep.
2,400,
Yep.
so, and then we'll, once we make the purchase and we submit, and the chief will do all that for us, and then I'll just look for the check in the mail.
Sure, yeah. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Roger?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Alright, Number 20, resolution 2606, approving necessary work at fire station not to exceed $4,000.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Great. All right, so this is an epic burying of the lead, as you'd say, this is an expenditure I'm really excited about, mainly because of the email that I sent you guys, detailing that the fire association, on our capital improvement plan, you'll see a truck on there that, is over $100,000. And I got wind from the chief several weeks ago that the association has put together, put in service, about to be put in service and inspected and everything, a fire truck, which is going to save taxpayers, like $140,000, $150,000. So it's a major donation on their part, which I'm really appreciative of. We'll have a ceremony at a future city council meeting where, we'll take pictures and sign over the title and do all the official stuff.
We should have a meeting at the fire station and have the truck in the background.
We could do that, yeah. We'll see, it'd be hard to move all this equipment over there, the microphones and stuff, but,
Film it on your camera.
yeah, it wouldn't be impossible, So anyway, that's a major deal. In order to facilitate that truck, we need to make some upgrades at the fire station. Mainly, and the chief can elaborate if you guys are wondering, but everything is on one circuit over there, and there's just some electrical work that needs to get done to be able to put this truck in service. And we want to get this truck in service even before we have the ceremony, just because it's available, it's already inspected and ready to go. Just need to get the insurance approval and this work done, and we're in service. So really great news for the municipality, and super thankful of the fire association for doing this.
Awesome. What truck is it? What kind of truck are you? What truck are you getting? What is it?
It's a tanker.
Is that that one that, do you remember when I toured the fire station, the one that you showed me that had the broken valves and stuff? What was that one?
No, that is the truck that is purchased currently being built, that were purchased, the city's purchasing new.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the pumper.
The pumper. There's too many names in it.
So, yeah, so anyway, this is needed, and, we've got, you know, plenty in the budget for upgrades like this, so I'm enthusiastically supportive of this, and, yeah.
All right, any other questions? If not, we'll go to vote. Megan?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
All right. On to other business.
No new business.
Second. All right.
This is the longest meeting we've had in a long time.
My mind is-
Long time.